What is up, knuckleheads? Prince of Darkness coming at you here today with Cuttle. Uh, Today we're going to be talking about how people are maxing out their tunes on Warcraft
Oh,
when they when a lot of people ask for longer XP. Cuttle, what do you have to say about this one?
Well, within midnight, I've jumped up to 90 pretty quick, but I'm finding myself at 90 having to rerun Dells on a daily basis, rerun the world quests on a daily basis to upgrade my gear, and it's literally taking weeks to accomplish it,
Right.
just to get my gear up.
Okay.
Now, I'm not a professional player that knows all the shortcuts and everything. I'm a recreational player. When it stops being fun, it's no longer interesting to me.
No, it is not. I agree because a lot of like I said, a lot of players have been asking for longer XP. Am I wrong?
Yeah, more experience, more things to do. I'm finding myself repeating week after week after week to upgrade my gear just to be able to get to my gear level up to a level to where I can start doing hero dungeons and raids. But it's taken months to gear up.
It does take months, yes. And I've seen players max out their tunes. They just go to the shop and they max out their tune to level 90. It's I find it weird because when they asked for longer XP and they wanted it, they Blizzard gave it to them, and they just I guess a lot of players, bless you. I guess a lot of players don't find it more, what's the word I'm looking for, entertaining.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, so they don't find it entertaining, but when you ask for something, Blizzard gives it to you. And another thing I wanted to talk about, there's been bugs going on in the game, and Blizzard's not fixing them. So
yeah, like
the the
the
uh, the
guild bank.
the guild bank, yeah, the guild bank,
I
how
I
the
put in a piece of equipment at 192, and it shows up in the bank as 44. Well,
right,
nobody wants a 44 level gear; they want the 192, so they're not going to select it. So unless they know about the bug, which we constantly have to educate everybody that there is a bug and there's no fix in sight for it at the moment, again, it gets
it get
monotonous and boring.
it gets frustrating. I get that. Yeah, and a thing I noticed from a streamer that I saw on one of my social medias, he was explaining about the bugs too, and he said unless it's an actual in-game bug, they'll fix it later. That's what in his I think he goes by the name of Scions. He was saying that unless it's an actual in-game bug, Blizzard will fix it later. That's what he said.
Yeah,
So
well,
they haven't fixed it. So that's a problem.
yeah, well, I spend more time trying to help other people get up in gear, get up in level than actually working on myself. I find it more satisfying to be more of a recreational player rather than, a gear orientated, just a professional player, as per se.
Right. So the real
I
question,
enjoy I enjoy helping people rather than just,
being
outplaying somebody, buying my
your
mods and moving up that way.
I mean, honestly, people shouldn't have to buy their way out of things or whatever. They should just enjoy it for what as it is.
Yeah,
Um, what are your
I
comment?
played decades. I played decades where I was just a solo player. I never got involved with guilds or dungeons or raids. I was just a solo player enjoying my time.
Right.
But now that I've been doing guild stuff, I'm enjoying myself helping people. But then you have people that are so pro players that if you don't follow the exact way that it needs to be done, then they kick you, they bounce you, they don't want to have anything to do with you. They badmouth you through the whole
Right. Yeah.
realm. Just
Remember how
you know,
you?
it-
No, I don't know if you remember how it used to be social back then in the days, but back when Classic launched, it used to be really social. And then
yeah,
after a couple expansions later, people stopped being social. I think it was back after Wrath of the Lich King. People started being non-social anymore, I guess, and they because what we call people that are selfish and non-social or whatever you want to call it, we call those people elitists. We call them elitists, and they are people that that certain people don't want to deal with.
yeah.
Now,
Like I said, I'm more of a recreational player. I enjoy it. I love working with people. I love having fun with people. But when it
you
gets
love
to the point where you know you have to be on at a certain time. You have to have so much of a gear level. You have to have. It no longer becomes fun.
no, it doesn't, and because and that's a social problem. You're one that enjoys socializing.
Yeah,
See, people are not like that anymore. And that's the thing I don't get. So, uh, because like I said, back then it used to be social back in classic and everything, and then it stopped. All of a sudden it stopped. I don't know why, but the main
yeah,
issue when let's say when you're doing a Mythic Plus or something, people expect you to be up on your high expect. They hold up high expectations. They hold up standards. You have to meet their requirements or whatever. Um, you have to have this item level. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to let's say for example a healer because you're a healer. So
yeah.
you got to make sure that the whole group is always alive. The whole group is alive and still running. They want to make sure that their end is good. But then at the end of the day, when the raid's done or whatever you're doing, Mythic Plus, raid, after that they leave and no thank you, nothing.
Yep.
No thanks for the run.
They want you to spend weeks studying other players, how they do the mechanics and what the mechanics of the dungeon is, or the delve, or whatever you're doing. They want you to follow the mechanics of it and study it.
Right.
There's no fun in that because you're not discovering.
No, you're not. That's the problem with today's society. They don't want to socialize. They don't want to discuss on how things should be operated or how to communicate or whatever. People don't know how to communicate nowadays.
Yep. They want you to be able to know what the dungeon is, before you even been there. There's many dungeons I've never done because
Right.
for years I've run as a solo player.
Right. And a lot of people that I know of, I'd say 25-30% base of the players that play WoW are now being solo players. The other 75 or 70% are non-social.
Yeah, they don't want any part of the guild. They don't want the rigid regiment that you have to follow guild. All right, we're doing a training session on this dungeon on Wednesdays. On Saturdays, we're going in full force Mythic Plus, and you have to be ready. Well,
Right. So
people have lives. They don't have
people
unlimited time to dedicate
to others
months
to
of
others.
studying a dungeon or a raid, so they're ready for it. Well, there's no fun in discovery. There's no
There
fun in
isn't. No, there isn't. There
figuring
isn't.
it. I
So
solo all my delves. I
yeah.
have to figure it out myself. I don't look it up to see what has to be done prior to. I like the feeling of discovery,
And that's what
figuring it out for yourself.
and that's what people expect you to do in a raid or a dungeon. They ask you to look up a video on how to do the dungeon, raid, Mythic Plus, whatever it may be. They ask, have you looked up a video or whatever? and you either you can say yes or no, whatever the answer may be. If you have, you still don't understand it, yet they kick you from the group.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem. Yeah, and a lot of it it's just it's hard on other players because me
Yep.
I left our guild because of my mental health, because of my mental health, it was falling apart slowly. So I left the guild for a reason. My mental health was getting worse and worse. I decided to take a break for a bit and then try and see if I can get my old guild back up and running. So
Yep.
that's what I did. I don't I'm not an antisocial, but I don't socialize with negative people. I don't socialize with people that are negative. That's what I don't do.
Yep. Yeah. If you don't, there's been guilds that if you're not on at X, Y, and Z times every week, you're bounced from the guild and blacklisted, and people talk bad about you.
Exactly.
It takes the fun away.
It does. It does. And I think honestly, a lot of the player base and everything, a lot of it should start to bless you. They should start to work together more. They should start trying to work together again.
Yep.
That's my opinion. I think a lot of the player base should start working together again as a team, communicating instead of being antisocial and negative.
Yeah.
Any questions, Cuttle, on for today?
No, it's got to be more social. You got to get away from being so rigid and
Right.
antisocial.
Yeah, I do agree. Um, you have to stop being antisocial and yeah. Um, uh, I would say that a lot of the people have quit playing WoW for those reasons.
Yeah. I'm
And
finding more people that are solo players that they'll ask for help on something, and I'm always there. I always try to help out.
you are.
There's many times where I've stopped what I was doing and jumped in a delve or a dungeon or whatever to help somebody else out because they're having trouble getting through it. And I have no problem being a social player rather than being so rigid and it takes the fun away from it.
It does. It does take away the fun away from it. So yeah. All right. Well, I guess that wraps up for today's video. If you like this video, guys, please leave a like. Cuddle, I do hope to see you in the next one. I appreciate you being here.
Not a problem. Holler
Uh,
if you need help.
will do. Guys, Prince of Darkness coming at you once again. I will see you in the next one.